Hello and welcome to the Horror House Podcast. I'm Dave.
I am Chris. We're two dudes that like to talk about horror from movies to real life. This week in the Horror House, we're talking about none other than Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Dave! No Corey here. No hack-ass David Gordon Green either. Here we are. Let's talk about it.
This is...
I called him a hack. Starting off, I went strong.
Chris, we have... I know, I got you, man. We've talked about how much we personally love anthologies, and that's what this was supposed to be. This was supposed to be an anthology series, and I even heard somewhere a kill count. That the original intent was that with each full-length movie in this anthology series, if a character or a theme really struck a chord with audiences, that they would spin off from this.
Right, I've read that as well.
So, but I mean, it's hard to argue that Michael Myers did not resonate with audiences. I mean, he stood strong enough to survive 2 Rob Zombie remakes, strong enough to survive
3,
the cult of
yes.
Michael Myers, strong enough to withstand Corey, maybe.
Well, time will tell, I guess, on that, right? We're not even a year removed yet from that business, which honestly I didn't even hate. I didn't even hate it, but I understand why some people would.
But I mean, I didn't hate it, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to shit on it a little bit.
Yeah, it deserves what it gets.
But it's brilliant marketing, because now if they come out again with a new, hey, let's do this all over again, we're going to do a new trilogy sequel to the first one. Maybe people jump on board, or maybe you just say, hey, you know, it is what it is. We're bringing back a new Michael Myers movie. It's same universe, different universe. Who knows? Who cares? Play fast and loose with the rules, a la DC, and see what you get. Yeah. And I think if you make now a traditional Michael Myers, people will love it just because Corey was so polarizing.
Yeah, I honestly think it has to rest for 5 years, maybe not quite 5 years. It needs a couple years at least before you can get that comeback where you get that trailer and see just a glimpse of the Shape again, acting as the Shape. And I think that'll just bags of money, which I'm afraid is the entire goal, which is, come on guys, put some art on it, man.
If only, Chris, there was a podcast that explored the case for making money versus making art.
But who, Dave?
Who would do such a thing?
Who would?
And how would the man try to keep them down 4 seasons later? Oh, Chris, I got an idea. It's us, and Spotify's the man trying to keep us down. Fuck Spotify, people. Go out there and follow us on Spotify. Listen to us on Spotify, but fuck Spotify.
We're not having problems. I don't know. We're figuring it out. But yeah, we're changing things again 4 or 5 episodes into the season. You know, but we're going to keep doing what we do, which is talk about fucking horror movies, which is what God intended. Or Michael or Carpenter, whoever, somebody intended it. And so shall we do. But yeah, just share us around, man. It would help us a whole lot. And with that, I guess, do you want to do an ad? And then we'll come back and we'll talk about a movie that is not, maybe at the time it was as hated as Corey and Halloween Ends, potentially, maybe more.
It's certainly possible. It's gotten a lot of hate over the years, but also it has a cult following.
Yeah.
I was a little young when this came out, so
I was still incubating. I was right on the verge. I looked at the year because I was thinking of the masks. I'm like, to get this out of the way real quick, I'm like, man, those masks, I wouldn't have went for any of them. Like, I don't want to be a pumpkin or a witch or a skull. Like, where's the Transformers, bro? Where's the fucking G.I. Joe? None of those shows were quite there yet. Or those cartoons rather, the 80s versions. So, but also I myself was just a few months out from getting here.
well, I
So,
mean, you asked for Transformers, but when did the Transformers first come out?
G1 said 84. Yeah.
So,
And then G.I. Joe Real American Hero, the 80s version. I mean, I guess you had, G.I. Joe before that, but like the meaty G.I. Joe for me is that. And that wasn't till 83, I want to say. I looked them up earlier, but they none of them quite hit. But I mean, there's so many other things. Would you have or not even war, but would you have wanted any of these masks as a kid?
Oh yeah,
really?
Compared to what we had in '82, yeah, man, we still had
just the plastic,
those plastic fucking,
and then the sheet
tried to reshape your face. Uncomfortable as fuck. Can't see it out of it. Lucky you don't get hit by a car. Watch out, the Satanists are going to grab you. Fucking tiny little slit eye hole. Can't breathe masks.
Right. That's fair. But I mean, okay. So next question. I know I'm skipping past the ad right now, but whatever. If you had to pick one of the three, which of the three would you pick? As a kid, or even now, whatever.
As a kid, I definitely would have gone Skull. But I was thinking about this the other day as I was looking at them, and last year Halloween, I did see the Silver Shamrock versions of these masks out on the shelves, and they are cool as fuck. And I mean, the witch is pretty fucking dope, man.
Yeah, I mean, they're not bad. I feel like, man, give me a robot. I mean, if there had been a robot variant or like a He-Man, like some kind of fantasy based thing, I'd probably been more into it. But I feel like part of me, probably as a kid, now I feel like I'd go more Skull. But as a kid, I feel like I'd have went more Pumpkin, which is weird. I don't know why.
Orange is always been one of my favorite colors. It's your sister's absolute favorite color. It's one of the main colors of my high school. I had a pair of bright neon orange Chuck Taylors back in the day. 8th grade basketball. I the whole season I wore those. So
there you go.
Maybe, but I think I would have gone Skull back in the day.
But then you wouldn't have matched the Chucks, dude.
Yeah, there's that too.
It's something to think about, but I was curious. All right, let us know on our socials. You know what they are. What you would have picked if you were a kid. What you would pick now. Let us know, and we'll be right back to talk about Halloween motherfucking 3.
First thing is Tom Atkins fucks
a lot
in this movie. Anything and one and anyone and anything. I mean, he just is laying it down. Probably fueled by his rampant alcoholism.
I mean, it's. I don't know what to make of the whole thing. I mean, he is really. I mean, he's a divorced. I assume divorced. Maybe they're just estranged, but I assume divorced dad, doctor dad. That ends up taking the weight of the world on his shoulders in this whole ordeal. But he's hero Dr. Dad. You know, he's got to get to the bottom of this whole investigation and figure out what's really going on. But in the midst of all this, he's flirting with this lady. He's fucking that one. Like, Tommy, you
can't tell me he's not throwing down with that coroner or assistant coroner.
Oh, dude, the redhead?
Yeah.
The pre-Susan Snyder redhead.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm married, ladies. I'm married. But listen, if it was 1982 over again, just saying,
When you weren't born yet.
when I wasn't alive. No, but Tommy Atkins was a player, and there's no argument. And as you were saying, what was the age difference between him and Ellie? Is her name Ellie? I think it's Ellie.
Ellie, yep. So the actual actress, Tom and Stacy, she was 23 years old when this film was filmed, and they were 24 years different.
Whew. Lord,
That's
mercy.
some real robbing the cradle right there.
I'm just really honestly, I'm more shocked that he was that old then.
I mean, he didn't look that old. I really meant to do some research by asking your sister, some ladies, like, okay, you were around in the early 80s. Was this one passed for a hot dude?
I was
in the 80s.
Yeah,
the dad bod was more prevalent back then, or something.
Is he handsome? I mean,
I can't judge. I'm not. It's not fair for me to judge.
I mean,
Chris.
but another man can look at another man and be like, "Yeah, I could see you, getting some work." But I mean, when it comes to Tommy Atkins, that's what I mean. We're friends. I'm gonna pretend, and that's what I can call him legally. But he's not what I would say conventionally.
He's no Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. But I mean, we're talking 82, right? So, I mean, he was getting some work then. So, I mean, they're like, let's okay, so we got Tommy Atkins coming in. We're going to pair him with this young lady right here. They're going to have a couple different sex scenes in this movie. Also, he's going to have pretend, like slight relationships with these other ones because he's a stud. Is he? I don't know. Let us know.
He must be. He must be.
Yeah.
So one of the creepy things about his sex scene with Ellie is, I believe they're on round 2 when he finally decides to ask how old she was.
Yes.
So, but
I forgot to ask you. It's like, hold on, creeper. Slow down. What am I watching? Come on, Tom.
And Ellie is cute. And there were plenty of opportunities to have Booby without like a drawn out Tom Atkins breastfeeding scene. I mean,
agreed.
To
move on past sexy Atkins. I mean, Tommy Atkins. Sorry. Whew. So Ellie, you know who she reminds me of, and not even in a passing way. And it's not something I even really ever thought of until watching it this time. She reminds me a lot of Nancy Wheeler, Natalia Dyer from Stranger Things. And there's a couple, a thing or two she wears in this that gives strong Stranger Things vibes. Like when they're like out doing their like shenanigans, like the kids in the 80s or whatever, But is that a connection? It certainly feels like it could be to me.
I mean, she makes poor choices. So apparently females in the 80s made poor choices. Instead of going to the police when you think somebody has plotted and murdered your dad in mysterious circumstances, you just find the local doctor at the local watering hole getting drunk in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Buy him a 6-pack for the road and then, investigate yourself.
But there was she had some kind of, I don't know if it was a scar. I forget the exact outfit. I don't usually put the outfits in my notes, but there was something like some kind of red scarf deal she had going on. I'm like Nancy Wheeler to a T.
I didn't think of that, but you saying that is spot on. And I've always credited Stranger Things for really getting actual 80s aesthetic right.
Yeah.
Not what the internet thinks the 80s look like. but what the 80s really looked like in small town Indiana. So
Yeah. Indiana represent. We can say that. And since we're on the cast, Dan I pronounced it what I felt like was correctly before we started the show, but now I'm very O'Hurley. Say it again.
O'Hurley?
That dude.
I think it is. I think you pronounce it quicker. Dan O'Hurley. O'Hurley.
It
I think it's
scares me
O'Hurley.
to death to try to pronounce it because there's letters where I'm not used to them being lined up. Anyways, of course, being the RoboCop stan that I am, I know him as the old man, the old man OCP. Dick, you're fired. That guy. However, I didn't realize, and I'm going to bring it up, even though we've already talked about it. He was the brown alien, very prosthetically, completely head made up alien dude, Grig, in The Last Starfighter, which blew my mind. Did you already know this, or is this new to you?
I did know that.
I feel like I'm the last person to know. Nobody told me. It's amazing.
But I don't know how long ago. I didn't know it for a long time. But I mean, I legit watch Season of the Witch once a year at least.
Really? I mean, he is, I mean, up there with Tommy Atkins. I mean, he's a close second for me. I really love him in this. To me, he is like not the best like evil like head of a fucking weird cult organization thing going on, but he's up there. I really like the way he explained what was going on. I believed his bullshit, and
he's very believable when he's taking him on the tour and he's kind of smiling.
Can we see the finalization? Why won't you show me the finalization? I can't show you that because of volatile chemicals. Yes, I'm like, mwah. I love it.
Yep. But I also liked at the end when Tom dumps the little trinkets down on the scientists and kills all the robots. Spoiler alert: there's robots in this.
There is.
But I like when he looks up at him in the rafters and sees him, and he just gives him that little like golf clap, like you got that one.
He starts a slow clap, but it's almost like Dan doesn't quite like it's not new. It's not new enough in his. It's too new a concept for him to really understand. So they're like, okay, so a slow clap, Dan. You start off slow, and it becomes a regular clap, and he's like, oh, I've got it. And he claps 2 claps and then claps normal. It's like, Dan. No, actually, never mind. We've got more shit to shoot. Check the gates. We're done here. I thought that was kind of funny.
I want to go back to the sex for just a moment. One last little thing. Well, 2 last. One is a really quick observation.
Hey. I just got a text from Tommy Atkins. He said, "Don't say little."
Oh no, absolutely not. Linda is not. There's a attractive disparity between Dan and Linda, so it's no wonder they got divorced. But also,
Carpenter royalty. Nancy Keys. But of course was in the OG Halloween. Here she is.
And the OG Halloween stars in this. So But also, even though Atkins fucks, he's still a man, and he still gets dick blinded by Robot Ellie, which we have to bring up this again later, or maybe now's the perfect time. Did they prepare Robot Ellie in advance? So they've been making these fucking robots since 1785. How quick can they turn them out on the lifelike models?
Right. That's my question to you as well. Like, was she one the whole time? Did they turn her into one along the
I,
way?
I have to think that maybe they turn you into one, because otherwise, like if it was a robot all the time, I did think about this. If it's a robot all the time, why would she drag him down there? They could have left him drinking in that bar and just wondering what happened, and not taking any chance to upset the apple cart.
Thrill of the chase, dude. Thrill of the chase. If you don't got,
I mean, maybe Connell is a gamesman.
Yeah,
As evidenced by his lack of an ability to slow clap correctly. But I don't think so. I don't think she was. I think they turned her into, she disappeared from the hotel room, and he had to come out the back door, and that's when he goes into the factory.
Tommy Atkins knows about the back door, I tell you what.
Yeah. I mean, Tommy usually is slipping in the back door, not out. But when he finds her and rescues her, and then they plot to try to slow the scientist down with the little shamrock token things.
Right.
If she's a robot, why is she allowing him to even do that? Why is she poorly programmed? Does it take a minute for the programming to kick in?
Well, you got to remember, Dave, that one robot sneezed, and he's like, they're super lifelike, right? And you're like, but they are.
True.
So I mean,
do the robots have self-lubricating vaginas? That's the true question.
Tommy Atkins knows.
Yeah, he's the only one who knows, and he's not talking.
Oh man. I think I'm just gonna give this to you, because I don't know. I've tried to think about it, but I've come up to no conclusions, and I feel like what you've come up with is as good as it's going to get as far as that goes. So, according to Horror House Podcast, Ellie was human, but they turned them roboticized into robots.
And we talking about OG Halloween for a minute. You brought up Linda or Nancy Keys. We brought up the OG Halloween is in this. The Silver Shamrock Mask make a appearance in the DGG trilogy. So that brings up a possibility that when the Stonehenge zapped Connell Cochran, did he go to another dimension? Is he alive in the DGG dimension and creating these masks?
Good point. Good point. Good.
It is absolutely. I cannot take credit for this as an individual, as my idea. I have heard this, and it was very intriguing to me. So, and the last connection that I caught to the OG was one of the robots, the one that tears off Jonathan Terry, aka Colonel Glover from Return of the Living Dead. The one that tears off his head is
God
Dick
damn
Warlock,
it, Helen! I don't know that guy.
Yep. The robot that tears his head off is Dick Warlock from the original Halloween.
Who his son, Baby Warlock, was in Society. That also another great Horror House episode that if you've not listened to, you should go check out.
It all comes back. It all comes back, man.
Time is a flat circle, and so is Horror House. But we love it that way. But Dick Warlock, unless I'm mistaken, like that assassin that he played, he had a couple little scenes in this. Is he not the one that fights Tom Atkins there towards the end, where Tom Atkins puts his hand? Okay.
Yep. That's him.
I mean, he got some time in this finally without having to be the Shape, which is gotta feel nice. If nothing else, you gotta respect, Dickie Boy Warlock got his old mug on the camera finally. Didn't have to wear that goddamn mask. Like, give some respect. Why you gotta shit on Season of the Witch so much when a Dick Warlock over here is just proud to be seen? How you can do that to him? Come on, guys.
He's just a slow clap for Dick Warlock. He started
That's my
doing stunts in 1960. And the last movie, in according to IMDb, that he is credited for doing stunts for was the OG Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
Really? Wow.
This dude has been doing it, man. So good on you, Dick Warlock. He may be dead now, but good on you, Dick Warlock.
Let's go back. Well, no, let's keep going on down the line. Since we're talking about the assassins or whatever you want to call them,
Robots.
robots.
I feel like I've established that.
To me, like they needed like something else for me. They're to me, and I'm sorry if you don't agree, but to me, the assassins, the robots, were boring. They needed something else to them. Like they looked just like regular fucking dudes in suits, and not even like the Man in Black kind of a way. Like even looking like that would have helped them a little bit. They just look like they got like Men's Warehouse suits, and it just
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
like, and then revealing that the robots doesn't do anything for me. I don't know. This goes into more of what one of my favorite parts of the movie was, which we'll get into, is the factory making the masks. But yeah, the assassins just. I like the idea. I think it's there, but I don't think the look of them. Maybe it's just the look I'm stuck on.
I've always been confused about the choice to make them robots.
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
mean, why not just be part of the cult?
Yeah. The robots, and then in connection, the masks when the dials are turned up or whatever, however you want to describe it, and the fucking crickets and rattlesnakes start to come out of a child's head. I don't understand. Are they being teleported into their skull? Is that what's happening?
So
I don't understand.
that is kind of what I think. It's a little bit of a destructo beam and a little bit of teleportation. I mean, Connell Cochran teleports away. He turns into like paper first.
Yeah.
So, but maybe that's just
whatever.
something left behind. But that's what I think, is that it's teleporting something in. Even the poor sales lady that gets blasted in the fucking face, and her face gets ripped open like a damn Cenobite, and then the bug crawls out, and that is I think maybe it just teleports the bug in there. I mean, I don't know what else to explain it as.
If they had done Connell Cochran first to show, like, you get hit with this is what happens to you, or not even that, I think they could have shown so much less. They didn't need to show snakes of whatever varieties and crickets and whatever bugs. If they had just started that like kind of ordeal with the kid, little buddy, and like he's pulling on the mask, and then just cut to Tommy Atkins and let him sell that horror, because I think he could have done it, and it would have been like, what is he seeing? Like we've talked about, you don't need to show everything. And I feel like that's more than the robots for me. This is a big, like, crickets and snakes. Like, I can go in my backyard and step on both. Like, it doesn't, I'm not that. I mean, if you get there to where you think that they were teleported in there, that's as, that's as good as it can get. But if you don't show anything, you're like, what the fuck is going on? I thought it was
pretty cool. I like it. I like it. I'm not going to complain on it.
Of the mask, when he like throws his hands up, and you're like, they're going to kill a kid on TV. Wow. But once it starts shitting out bugs and snakes, it loses me every time. And I just feel like Tom Atkins could have sold it to that Texas Chainsaw degree, where you're like, you don't see it, But what you're imagining, like what he's conveying from emoting that, like what he sees could have been like next level. Like, oh my God, I can only imagine like what some of the internet could have come up with, like what he was seeing. But those are that and the robots are my kind of my two biggest complaints with the movie. But if the mask aren't get you there, then I ain't hating.
Yeah, I like the mask. I like the mask. I think the robots are a weird choice. Because I think it's scarier if it's just true believers,
I agree.
or if the town is all true believers. That never is 100% out there.
And then an old man with big glasses and a big mustache comes out and says, "Excelsior, true believers." Anybody?
Perfect. I'm slow clapping for you, Chris.
Thank you.
But I think it's scarier if it was people and not robots.
Yeah, I agree.
The robots were first designed in 1785. How have you not taken over the world by now?
They had to wait for the invention of vinyl masks for children, I guess.
Right. It's weird. It's weird is what that is. How I need to do some research, Chris, real quick. How big are the Stonehenge stone?
According to Spinal Tap, I think they're about 17 inches.
Yeah, I think they're a little bit bigger than that. Spinal Tap might be wrong. So sit down and let me explain that to you. 13 feet high,
13 feet,
7 feet wide, weighing around 25 tons. And yet somehow they stole one and brought it to America.
I liked the cheeky kind of way Cochran kind of explained it. He's like, "You wouldn't believe what we had to do to get that here."
I bet he smuggled it over in his butt.
With everything else that they did in this, like, is that out of the realm?
I mean, if you can make robots in 1785, life fucking like robots like that.
They glued it to Tommy Atkins' left leg and was like, "You know what this is like?" And he's like, "I do." And then that's a dick joke for Tom Atkins. You're welcome, my friend.
For the first time in his life, he was able to walk in a straight line because it balanced out with his ginormous dick.
I was not prepared for the amount of sexual Tom Atkins jokes we were going to do tonight, but I'm there for it. I'm there for it. But I did think that was like a cutesy, like a wink to the, I wouldn't say clever audience, but the more there for it, like, and scrutinizing it audience of being like, "You wouldn't believe what we had to go to get Stonehenge here." It's like, okay, like that was enough for me. Finish your ride. I'm there.
I started to tell you before we started tonight, and I held off. And this goes back to the very first kill.
Okay.
Watching this, and I like I said, how long have I been saying I really like Halloween 3. I watch it at least once a year. I'd say probably about once a year. I will get around to it. I like Halloween 3. I think it's just insane. But for this, watching it for the show this week and putting a different attitude in my brain, I'm looking at it with different eyes. When that first kill happened, where he pulled the chalk block and the car came down and maybe smashed the robot, for a minute, I really thought my old Stand By My favorite drug, nostalgia, had really let me down. I was like, oh, that
It is a
this
bitch.
first kill is really fucking
She a old bitch. She a old
yeah.
bitch. Old fickle bitch.
But I gotta say, after I got past that first kill, and then I get to the second kill,
Mhm.
when he rips the dude's fucking skull through his fucking nose or eyes, and
Yeah, that is violent. That is
yeah,
violence.
it's so good. And then when he, immolates himself in the car, that you
Yeah.
get
Good
a little
setup.
bit of that plastic face look.
Yeah.
Um,
They
but
didn't
for
need to
1982, I feel like the effect wasn't bad.
I mean, and for a lot of it they were doing the show less, which is
Mhm.
a lot of times the way you need to go. And then I mean to end that kill rather on the plastic on the kind of latexy face like wasn't a great idea, but I feel like you could have probably just shown a little blood on the regular actor and probably got away with what you were after.
Mm.
But then follow that up with Tom Atkins chasing the dude down the halls, and then the immolation, pretty hot, pretty hot. And what a great setup! Like that sets this whole thing off to go. Let's go down the line, see what is going on. Why is this? You know, who is sending these suited men to kill random people in a hospital? Like, what is the story here? It gives some intrigue, and I'm there for it. What is the truth?
The
Robots.
yeah, robots. Who would have guessed it was robots at that point? Um, hmm.
Now the song. I feel like we probably should have started with the song just to get it out of the way because it's so prominent.
If
And
we were following the lead of the movie, we would have done this song 20 fucking times by now already.
yes. Um, and I mean, I feel like a lot of people are in the boat that God, this is fucking annoying, and I agree. And it's repeated about 100 times too often in this movie. But it's such a big character in this movie, that
Mhm.
song. Like every time it starts to pop off, the bump 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 bump, bump you're like, oh God. It produces an emotion, at least of myself, where I'm like a dread develops, where I'm like,
Apparently, it made Ellie horny in the middle of the night.
well,
So she's ready for round two when she hears the song.
I mean, different strokes for different robots, I guess,
Yeah.
but I can't say the same. I didn't Tommy Atkins it myself. But
Have you tried, like tonight, we get done podcasting, like, just be like, Fonda, I'm going to put you in the mood, and then play this song
bump, bump,
and
bump,
try to
bump,
get
bump,
busy.
bump. I'm afraid of that result. Tidbit, the singer of 10 More Days Till Halloween, Silver Shamrock was a director and writer, Tommy Lee Wallace,
Tommy Lee.
which I guess we'll get into it now because I have a little bit of trivia for the first time. Sometimes I feel like I
Oh,
miss out on the trivia, but
sweet. Trivia time. All right, hit me.
bum 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 bum. I can't not do it now. So the writing credit on this movie, in a lot of instances, and certainly when it was first released, is incorrect. Wallace says that it was Nigel Neal who created Quatermass, a very big, well, I shouldn't say very big, I don't know, but a big influence on modern horror authors like Stephen King, like John Carpenter. He created this Quatermass character that was kind of this maybe even like pre Doctor Who. I'm like in that vein, like this character that is like more knowledge over whatever this kind of weird problem is, kind of thing. And side fact, Carpenter wrote Prince of Darkness under the pseudonym of Martin Quatermass.
Oh,
There you have it.
nice. Nice.
But
Nice.
Nigel Neal, who created that character, wrote the initial script for Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. But it wasn't quite up to John Carpenter's liking, and so he rewrote it. And then finally, Tommy Lee Wallace finished it off and gave his pass on it. I don't know if I believe, from what I understand, it was on that Carpenter rewrite, so he rewrote that rewrite, which is what we got. So interesting. This got rewritten 3 times, and this is where we were. Which I don't know. Maybe explain some things about maybe some of our nitpicks, like maybe too many cooks in the kitchen there. I don't know.
That could be. I got a little trivia time for you, Chris, and my trivia time is actually trivia. So I asked you a question. I'm glad you didn't, by the way, because I never would have got it right. I'd been like,
oh, I got questions for you.
If I was close, I would have said quartermaster. Oh, you still have a question? Okay.
Oh no,
I thought you were just
later on.
Okay, so I got a bump. Chris, as of right now, how many days to Halloween? Don't Google it. Just take a rough guess.
215.
You're not greatly off. 187 days till Halloween as of taping.
I'll take that miss. Okay. Good question. Great question, actually. I'm there for it.
We are just past halfway to Halloween.
Just past.
So what? Yeah, I mean, half of a year is 182 days, 182.5, and we're 187 days to Halloween now. Or no, not just past, we're almost to halfway to Halloween.
Which is a great segue, Dave, because one of the things I want to talk about is how I first watched this movie. Because I didn't rent it back in my old VHS rental days. For some reason, I just it just never happened.
Did Michael Myers not being in it have enough?
I don't know if I even knew
influence on that
at that point or not.
Okay.
But when I first watched it, and a big thing for me still, and I don't know that we've talked about it very much, is AMC Fear Fest. Every year, just a solid month of blocks of horror movies, which, I mean, with streaming and everything and the internet, like, does it really matter? Not really. It really doesn't. But I like it just because it still exists. And I mean, 15, 20 years ago, to me, it was a pretty cool thing to have. And that is how I came across, or I wouldn't say came across, I knew of it by that point, but how I first watched it. But I never watched it start to finish. I would watch like 30 minutes here. Next year, I'd watch a different 30 minutes. And then next year, I'd maybe watch 15 minutes that interlapped with what I'd already seen. I don't know that I watched the whole movie until like 7, 8 something years ago. But Fear Fest, that's how I first really became introduced to this movie and Tom Atkins. And I wouldn't say introduced to Tom Atkins, but Tom Atkins in this movie. Sex pot Tom Atkins. But yeah, I mean, fucking Halloween. No streaming. Like, you have wall-to-wall horror movies on a fucking channel. Like, inject it to me, and I still will turn it on. This day and age, just in the background as I'm doing other shit, and it's just some weird like a modern nostalgia. It feels.
I can only imagine, Chris, how strange this movie must have seemed to you watching 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there. Like,
yeah.
Oh, like got dudes in suits. Oh, kids in with masks. Oh, robots.
I think
a lot of drunken sex.
As fever dream as you could imagine is probably about where I was sitting until I finally watched it, and then that still didn't really go away. Did you rent this back in the day? Do you remember when you first watched it?
I think my first watch was on TV, so I think it was some of the sex might have been cut out because I didn't remember.
It's not that
I mean,
gratuitous
it's not a
still.
lot of boob.
Yeah.
There certainly could have been better or more boob in it. I mean,
I'm sorry,
Ellie's boobs
Stacey.
are nice,
I'm
but
sorry.
you got a whole section of her getting out of the shower. She could have boobs. She could have some booty. But the only thing she packed was a makeup bag. Where did she get the lingerie at? Does she just normally wear lingerie under her day clothes? I don't know.
Hey,
But I
Superman's
think it
always
was
got to be
just
ready
on.
to fight crime.
Yeah,
So
I think probably on TV. Maybe, possibly. I don't really remember for sure. Possibly on like a USA Up All Night.
okay.
Typically, that would have been more lower budget, more boobies movies. But sometimes you would see something like this.
This is like they're like blowing their wad. They're like, here's our big movie of
Oh
the
yeah.
month. Halloween 3.
Well, also, I mean, in 80, 85, 86 to 89, like Season of the Witch was a failure, looked at as a failure in those
right.
at that time. So, yeah, it's a Halloween, but it's not like the cult. It's got its own cult following now, I feel like.
It really had to like work to build that. Like, I mean, I feel like there's even like some small niches that would say this is their favorite Halloween, which is I'm not saying that I'm in that camp, but we're at the day and age where those people can connect in groups online and be like, "Wow, that's your favorite too," and then we can make fun of them together from a distance, from a great distance. No, but I understood, the not having Michael was a big deal. I mean, even like what would be the equivalent? Like having like the next Terrifier, not having Art the Clown. It's like, oh, we don't want to go that direction. Like I guess that kind of makes sense when you try to put your modern brain into that. And Art the Clowns is the best I can do. That makes sense though if you feel that sensation of like, hey, he's not in the next one. You're like, what? What the fuck are you trying to sell me then?
Yeah.
I want to buy your shit. Let me buy your shit. Why won't you let me buy your shit?
Is this the original Take My Money?
Yeah.
I really get it, and they were smart enough between Johnny, Tommy Lee, and Uberak. Which did he get involved with? 3 or 4 was the first one, or no, not 3, 4 or 5, but I think it was 4.
Who?
The Indian dude that bought into the franchise.
Oh, shit.
But anyway, they were smart enough to reverse course and to go back to, hey, people liked Mike and they were disappointed we didn't have Mike. Let's count our losses with 3 and go back to Mike. So,
but then I
4.
mean,
he's back. He's in 4.
Even still, they ruined that idea with time. So, I mean,
is it ruined or like
worn out, or I mean, then you get into the Thorn weird shit, which brings me to my next question, Dave.
Yeah,
for you. Get your Dave-averse mind ready. It's technically 2 questions. 1, Tom Atkins, Paul Rudd, and Corey, the outcasts, I would say, of the entire franchise of Halloween, beginning to end. Put them together, I say. What do we call that Halloween? I'll give you a moment.
Um,
Let me give you some
the
music. Boom, 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 boom,
the
boom, boom.
Corey is the hard one in this because
Yeah.
let's call it like it is. Like Tom Atkins is
Tommy Atkins,
apparently a sexual Tyrannosaurus Rex.
a dynamo.
Paul Rudd is the fucking ageless one. You know,
Right.
he had his turn in Halloween, and now in the MCU, he barely looks like he has aged.
Right.
Um,
Maybe Corey is
so
the next.
and then you have
Both of them.
Corey. So I would
If you're
name
gonna
that
put them-
movie
if you're gonna put
after
them
a
together-
Meatloaf song, and it'd be 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
God damn, that's a good answer. Woo, Dave.
Can you? That's a long for a title? Halloween 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Oh my God, I love
but
it.
that's also the subtitle for the David Gordon Green Halloween series in general.
What? No. I have a whole autobiography. What is? That's not an autobiography because I'm not David Gordon Green. A biography that I'm writing for David Gordon Green called "I Tried." Quotes. That's just where I'm going with that. But 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I feel it, yeah. Because then, even if Corey or Paul Rudd in the Halloween-verse was your favorite, that gives you enough room to be like, well, they're not talking about my dude. Like, obviously. Okay. Tommy Atkins is safe. But Rudd, Curse of Michael Myers, and then Halloween Ends, Corey, come on. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. That's a great title. Now, next, Dave.
Yeah.
Actually, I spoke off a little prematurely. This is where the two questions go together. Ish.
Okay. Let me take a shot while you're
take your shot.
while you're telling me the premise of the question.
Okay.
Here.
Part 1. How do we connect Halloween 3 Season of the Witch to the mainline franchise? And you can take that however you want to take that. Like pre-Thorn bullshit, post into the David Gordon, hack-ass Gordon, whatever. And 2, and probably most importantly, how do we connect Halloween 3 Season of the Witch to the Dave-verse? Which, if you're unfamiliar, we've not talked about it too much this season, but Dave has cultivated his own cinematic universe, which is very important and very amazing. And Dave, now that you've had a moment to ponder the comedic and avenues, all of which you could explore, go.
Okay. I think it all has to do with the teleportation that we see with the beam coming from Stonehenge and zapping Connell Cochran. It is the way we combine universes. So Connell Cochran has set his plan in motion in this universe and moved to another universe, the right. David Gordon Green verse, and he's got his mess out there. Michael Myers stops, kills the kids with the mask, so they're not going to turn. That I don't. Do we ever hear the Silver Shamrock song in the DGGs? I don't think we do, but we do have another movie, adjacent to one that we have reviewed this season that involves horror and teleportation, and that's The Fly. And yes, Dr. Seth Brundle is a genius, but he's a starving genius. Somebody is paying for this experiment. And why couldn't it have been an alt universe Connell Cochran? Maybe this one decided not to use his powers for evil. Oh God, I'm going far afield here, Chris. Um, but he did. But he did. And his creation, his child, is part human, part fly. But if you were part human, part fly, or if maybe your normal half brother was born part human, part fly, and maybe you would feel some kind of vengeance on mankind and want to use your powers to zap kids and make them all part insects and part human. Oh my God, Chris, you got me here, man. So I'm going to say that I got to dig into this connection.
Dude, you dug into that. And like, it's all there. Not only.
It's not quite into the Daviverse because Fly hasn't been connected to the Daviverse yet.
But I feel like we've certainly connected Cronenberg. We've had to. Have we not? We may have to do a whole special if we've not, because maybe you're right. Maybe we haven't. I feel like you could, I mean, as fast as you connected it to that, like you're going to connect Shivers or Rabbit or something super easy to Chud. Or I'm making it too easy. Like
I just repainted the office to my the colors of my Chicago Bears last year, and I'm going to have to take this giant wall next to me, paint it white, and just start a board tying these movies together.
You look like the biggest conspiracy theorist ever. Excuse me, hiccup, super hiccup. I love it. I love it. You couldn't have with the bugs, with the insects. It's there. It's super there. I just had to be quiet and let you just.
We're getting close
to go. You know, I had to let you go down that road.
I'm missing something here, but I think we can. I think with a little bit of time to research that, I can.
I propose that next season we may just do a Daviverse special. I think it's time. Like I think it's about time. And I literally will just be there to listen. I think it'll be super hot, hotter than Tommy Atkins in 1981.
Is it cool or douchey if you're writing a script to just assume I'm going to write a script and find a way to tie this either into other scripts I might write in the future, or have a tie that you could easily put it into an existing?
I don't think that's douchey at all.
I'm not sure.
It's your story. I mean, you're putting in the seeds, man. Like you're planting the garden. Like that's yeah.
Okay.
That said, I mean, any other things you want to talk about with Halloween 3 before we get to our overalls?
No,
we've went harder on this movie than I really would have thought, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, how cool would it have been to be an anthology? I was thinking when you were talking about, as we wrap up here, and some last minute things before we get to ratings that have floated through my head. You were talking about like maybe the bug thing wasn't the thing for you.
Right.
What if the masks had hypnotized the kids, and the kids just started murdering their family? I mean, that's could have had something there.
There's that. I like the death of the. I like the potential killing of mass kids. I feel like I should probably edit that out because that's very harsh. But
you're probably already on a watch list.
Yeah, but like it's super horrific, and I feel like that's where the real horror is to me, more than like what's coming out of their skulls potentially. Like, and as it ends, he's like, stop it, Tommy Atkins, and I think that's the biggest horror of the movie is like just the hopelessness of. Is he saving these kids' lives? Are they going to stop it? Are they not stopping it? And all these kids are R.I.P.
They stopped it on 2 channels, right? Like they stopped it on 2 channels.
I mean,
but
for the time being, maybe
there are a lot of time zone questions with this.
Right.
Also, a shout out to Kill Count, but
Dead Meat,
something I have thought about previously though, but I can't not shout him out. What time zone is this occurring in?
Yeah, it's a very local thing. It would have to be. I mean,
yeah.
And that's a good question.
An hour before the commercial airs, they're still making masks. At that point, like, why?
Yeah, good point. That's actually a really good point. Well, I mean, they're not going to get all the kids in one go. Yeah. But that's going to really hurt the Shamrock brand for next year.
that might be like, how many years do you have to lay off before kids are like, okay, look, you melted my last set of kids, but it's been 10 years. I have a new set of kids.
It says Silver Shamrock on it, and I know it killed a bunch of kids like 10 years ago. I don't know if I should buy this for you. Okay. You pulled my leg.
But Harvey, I got a coupon.
Let's hit an ad and let's come back and let's get our overall opinions before we get out of here for the week. We are back. It is time to rate Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. I'm going to go first since this was Dave's pick this week. For me, and we've talked about positives, negatives all night. But this is another one for me, man, that we're on a weird stretch that I feel like I'm hitting in a certain range of movies. And this one I'm giving a 6 out of 10. And I don't hate this movie. I feel like I'm being, in a weird way, I feel like I'm being slightly overly positive, but I don't understand my brain. But this is, I mean, we've had this range of movies that have been kind of in the middle.
Mid for you, yeah.
And I'll say, I mean, people shit on this movie for reasons other than Michael not being there. And I mean, that's whatever to me. I could go one way or the other. But it does have boring moments to me, and not in a slow burn kind of a way, just flat boring. And some of the effects are kind of hit or miss. And like we talked about the robots, the assassins, and my thing with the snakes and the bugs. But that said, there's still some cool shit in this movie, and it's got, even if you don't like it, like top to bottom, it's got a vibe. This movie has its own vibe, which more than a solid story, I would rather watch a movie that is its own thing. You know what I mean? Like from top to bottom, Halloween 3 is being Halloween 3. Mm-hmm. And, whether it's Tommy Atkins laying the pipe, whether it's snakes crawling out of a kid's
me, Mario.
I mean, it has a feeling, and Tommy Lee Wallace, I feel like really did a great job. Even though this isn't my favorite Halloween movie, it's not my favorite horror movie. I feel like he did a really good job directing it, and because it has its own feeling and it's uniquely itself to me. And
shit.
Dave has died. Did you fall over?
No, I'm still alive. I don't even know what fell.
Did you spill your whiskey? What has happened?
No. Nope. My glass, my bottle, my shot. don't fucking know.
Um,
I might be being attacked.
so my wife, during last week's episode came in here and was like, "What was that crash?" And I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I heard nothing." The crash was on your end this week. So what's going
I
on?
have no clue what it was.
That sounded like a body hit the slab, dude.
I honestly don't know what's going on. I'm sitting here just listening to you. Like
Was it on my? I was
nothing
you,
is,
right? That sounded your
nothing
end.
is. I heard it, but nothing is on the floor that I can see.
That's crazy.
So,
well, if
okay, there's that. So.
I mean, are you ready to give your review, or do you feel like you need to look around the perimeter or something?
I think I'm ready. In case I'm about to get murdered, I want to get my review.
Your last rights, your last review. It's all you. It's all you, dude.
So we are pretty typically tend to be about one rating point off. We're a little bit more than that this time, but not greatly. I went 7.5.
Okay.
That gives us an average rating of 6.75.
Man, I'm dragging this bitch down.
So, but that's okay. You like what you like, and that's the good thing. That's the message. If we had a message, is that not everybody likes the same things, and not everybody's scale is the same. Because I'm not hearing you really shit on this movie. I'm definitely not shitting on this movie. There are some strange choices, and the robots is number one for me.
We can agree on that.
It's a strange choice to me, but it in a weird way for me, it kind of adds to the insanity of the movie. I don't know that there's really anything you touched on it briefly. I don't think there's anything really like Season of the Witch. You have just so many disparate elements brought together. All these ideas. It felt like there was let's put all these elements in. I'm not familiar with the dude you brought up. Quartermass? Is it Quartermass?
Excuse me. Nigel Neal.
Yeah,
who created Quartermass?
Yeah, and his character
Quatermass.
Quatermass. I'm not familiar with him, but while you were talking about it, I did some side research. I see the movie Quatermass in the Pit, Quatermass in the Pit mini TV series, 5 million years from Earth,
which were apparently big influences on Carpenter and Stephen King. Just name those two.
Well, and some of the synopses are like, it's that blend of a mysterious ancient relic meets modern science, and so it's not hard to see where you hit that in Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, and I like it. I like it. It's got something. There's something in that for me, and I like it.
Right.
It feels very. It's got a different personality, but in its bones, it's got a little bit of Event Horizon. Or Event Horizon is very much to me like, oh, we're on the verge of science, but then we're still talking about hell and demons and angels and this, and so it's that blending. And those are things that really get me, and messages that really get me, and so I like that. I'm going to absolutely watch something with Quatermass. I don't know what it is. I'm going to see what is free to stream.
Let's make that a season 6 thing, because for years have been wanting to check out Quatermass. I even did a song a few years ago mistakenly thinking it was Quartermass.
I have seen the name several times, and
Yeah.
I've always, my dumb brain read it Quartermass.
Yep.
So,
But if you ever, folks, if you ever go watch or have seen Prince of Darkness, Carpenter's Prince of Darkness, he wrote that as a pseudonym. I forget the first name, but it was Quatermass, who, this character he was a big fan of, and it's pretty cool. You'd have to feel pretty cool to be influenced by this writer, and then have him write at least a draft of one of the sequels to your movie. One of the sequels, like how much would you feel you've made it if somebody you looked up to in this character was writing one of your sequels? Like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
crazy as hell, man. It's crazy as hell, man.
But that said, they're getting ready to turn the power off in the horror house, so we got to skedaddle. But coming up next week, Dave, tell him what we're talking about.
We got a little bit of IRL horror, and it's very vague. So we're kind of going this vagueness, this meta, this outside influence thing this season with we had the Mandela effect, and now predictive programming. Is the Illuminati controlling things? Are they sending us warnings or through popular culture? What is going on? Why does it seem like the Simpsons know what's going on before anyone else does?
And next week, come back and you will find those answers and more. Probably. Maybe. I don't know. Or if nothing else, we'll hang out together and talk about some spooky shit.
Probably we'll talk less about Tom Atkins' dick next week.
That is fair. I did get messaged by Tommy Atkins. It says, and I quote, "Stop calling me fucking Tommy and delete this episode." I'll do one of those. So we will meet you back here next week in the horror house for predictive programming. And until then, we will see you. Same cemetery, different grave.
Ooh. That's ghost language for bye.